And hello, everyone. Welcome to show number 66 of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing. With me, hello, everyone. Whoop, I gotta shut the audio off on the other one before it makes an echo. With me is my...
There was little Lauren.
Man, there was double Lord. With me is the ever-talented Mr. Edward StOnge from Flip2 High. Mr. Ed, how are you today, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Well, good. I mean, we were having fun with the green room political discussions. I really didn't. I didn't send a lot of topics out, as you noticed, and plus, those are only just kind of like suggestions of maybe we want to grab it if we want to talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can continue the idea of I mean, the big news-wise this week, obviously, is the fact that we just went through the election that we did, and to translate that into the purpose of the show and not just get politically tangent is how is that really going to hit us? Is it going to hit us? That sounds already negative. How is it going to influence how we conduct business going into what we already thought 17 was going to be? I guess is probably the most even keel question. I would love. I mean, we've touched on it a couple of times, and I know you've had an opinion about where you think business in general is going in 17. But how do you think now, with the results being as they are, and the House and Congress and everything kind of lining up into a straight line with a single party, do you really think that what kind of impact is it going to create for us for travel and hospitality?
Right now, I think it's hard to say because we're still waiting to see who did we get. I mean, we know who a lot of people voted for, but we don't actually know like what's going to happen. We haven't seen the full presidential pivot of the candidate yet. If it's Republican Party line, you're going to see very favorable business conditions, and you may actually see an extension of one more year of quality travel growth. But again, it's too early to say. We don't know what the policies that are going to be on the docket are, and the markets are showing it. There's just jitters. So there was a rally. The rally has kind of stumbled and sputtered. Weird parts of the market rallied and weird parts of the market pulled back. And it's just because no one knows what we're getting.
You know, it's funny. I don't want the last thing I ever want to do is quote Facebook posts. Okay.
So therefore, I think it should be the first thing we do.
First thing we do. Because we shouldn't, we are. Okay. But you made a great post, and that was, you know what? Please understand the difference between campaign simplicity rhetoric, because they have to simplify the topics to campaign about, right, and the complexities of the government that they're now assuming responsibility for. I thought it was a very good insight, because you were trying to admonish people. It's like, hey, calm the F down, man. Just, look at this from all angles. You're on the outside where you thought you were on the inside. You're on the inside when you thought you're outside. There's a whole lot of people going, wow, I didn't think we would be here on both sides.
Yep.
So just calm down and realize that all of that went on during the contentious campaigning the world isn't as simple as they tried to make it black and white. And I thought it was a great point you made.
Well, and it's important because every president has done it. I'll go on the easiest one to remember. Obama, first day in office, going to close Guantanamo. It's still open.
Yep.
I'm sure it's changed. I'm sure what he was hoping to accomplish by whatever the complexity of that was has, happened, because he has been a man of action. But he didn't close it. But how do you explain to a population that doesn't understand most of the going-ons of the government anyways, how do you explain to them a complex situation? Well, you boil it down to raw emotion, because that's what's going to mobilize them to vote. And here's the other interesting thing. It was like 49% of the U.S. population didn't vote in this election.
That's the piss me off.
So, well,
I know there's a percentage that won't vote.
I'm going to start right now. If you didn't vote, period, you have no say.
Exactly.
You have no say because you chose not to vote. So, if you didn't vote, you have no say. You shouldn't be on either side of any issue because you chose to abstain from having your voice heard. Now, that being said, there are a lot of people like myself who voted for people they didn't want to vote for. just because I thought it was the right thing to do. Because I don't vote by party, I vote by candidate, and I vote by strategy of what what's the best option in a crappy option election. And let's face it, this was a crappy option election. And none of this is simple. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because you heard Trump's initial speech where he didn't double down. He actually, went the very presidential route. And then you heard mirroring from everyone else. It almost sounded like the same person wrote all of the speeches, which is fortunate. That's what you want to hear at this point. You don't want to hear right, exactly. You just want to hear, hey, we're a great nation because we have a system, and that system works. And in this case, it worked.
Yep.
For the people who wanted it to work.
Yep.
And then I also like to remind everyone, it's only 2 years. He may have a 4-year term, but the control is only there for 2 years.
Right.
And if they don't do right, then the shift of power will happen in 2 years. And our government has been a pendulum throughout its history. We lean left, we lean right. That generally, in the aggregate, keeps us somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, some things too. I love Michael Moorhead. He wrote about the fact
Michael Moore.
Moore, thank you.
Yes.
That we should take every one of the pundits that we listened to during the entire process and throw them out because they were following mainstream popularity rather than reality insight. Yep. They were looking to be accepted. And that goes back to something that I thought was amazing during this process where people say, well, I wanted to vote for such and such, but I voted for them instead because I figured they're going to win. You do know how this works, right? I mean, it's not a popularity contest. Oh, I voted for them and they won. Look at that. Right. It's you vote for the person, like you said. It's not along party lines. It's along what you think is close. And it's funny. I keep smiling about South Park had an episode on the school mascot.
The giant douche versus the shit sandwich.
Exactly. And it's always going to be a choice between the worst of two. Hey, Mr. Tim.
Speaking of that, Mr. Peter,
how are you?
How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you?
How was London?
London was great. It was too fast, but it was really good.
Yeah. We enjoyed your pictures, especially about the plane, your expansive legroom that you had.
I had some real issues there. And Ed, I've not forgotten about returning your phone calls. It's just been a crazy, crazy week.
What's happened this week that could possibly be crazy?
Yeah, we were just talking about
such a mundane week.
Yeah, there was nothing going on. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
We were just.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. No, please.
Oh, just going to bring up to speed that we were talking literally about that. It's like, how is this, now that we are where we are, how is this affecting our industry in general, for whatever reasons, as to what's going to happen now that we're in the position of facing what has happened out of the results of the election? So, good or bad?
So I have one interesting takeaway. I was talking to a hotel operator yesterday. And the individual, I'm going to keep this very anonymous for reasons that might become apparent. No. The person didn't say anything bad about politics or anything along those lines, but really said, this is what concerns me about all this talk of data, and data-driven marketing and things along those lines, and how the polls got it all wrong. And so maybe we shouldn't put so much trust in data. And I think that's a very dangerous viewpoint.
Well, it's a flawed viewpoint because
right.
all the polls were wrong is because everyone had so much faith in the models that they weren't testing the normal way that you should test, and you created an echo chamber.
Well, exactly, and more to that point, right? I agree with you. In addition to that, first, I think, when you talk about the Nate Silvers of the world and people like that, so the folks at 538 who do polls of polls, right? Two things to keep in mind about that is, one, garbage in, garbage out. If the polls that is averaging those polls are not good, that's going to create a problem. The second thing, and this is something that people have really overlooked, is everything that happened actually was within the margin of error. So the reality is, right, this is a bizarre thing, but the polls were off by a couple of percentage points. So Clinton won the popular vote, lost the electoral vote, but she won the popular vote by about a percentage point.
Yep. Which also, we should remind everyone, if you recounted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It will be different. The popular vote will be different,
right,
each time because it's within the margin of error.
Right.
It's actually like half the margin of error.
Right. Well, and that's just it. So here's the crazy part that people are missing. So she won the popular vote by 1 point. Most of the polls had her, depending on what you looked at, as maybe a 3-point favorite, roughly. So they were off by 2 percentage points, right? However, in 2012, the polls said that Obama was going to win by X percentage points. I don't remember what it was, and he won by more than that. And by more than the margin of error was in this election. So the polls, as wrong as they were this time around, were actually more accurate than they were 4 years ago. But because the result didn't flip,
right?
Everybody's like, "Oh my God, the polls are so bad, data's so broken, and all that kind of stuff." And I think that's a misreading of what actually happened, right? You need to use data. Data-driven marketing works. People shouldn't get hung up on that. You also need to know how to interpret the data.
Yep.
Right. And what the data means. Right.
What I think is interesting about this whole thing, because I think yes, and Eric, happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day
to everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that we
unfortunately this year they're probably getting overshadowed because of all the craziness.
Right.
But I think that there's a few things for everyone to take into consideration this time around. And to be clear, I didn't vote for Trump. So I'll put that out there. I don't mind. This was a systemic failure of both parties.
Mm-hmm.
This was a huge failure. And this wasn't in the aggregate. Now, of course, there's always exceptions and pockets. This wasn't racially driven. This wasn't a sexist issue. This was such a complex situation that was put in front of the American public. And because of that, the outcome is unpredictable. When you put up a figurehead on one end, that is widely known to be corrupt. And then on the other end, you allow another figurehead who is widely known to have issues with corruption. It's impossible to tell which way it's going to go and what people believe and what people listen to. And so you have to understand it's not simplified. I know many women who had very viable cases on why they could not bring themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton. Right? And they were right.
Sure.
And the most interesting thing I've been saying all along is you knew this was going to be a weird election when both candidates had really good arguments on why the other should be in jail.
Yeah. That's just, again, because if you say it's systemic failure of both parties, anybody should have been able to beat Trump if they were as qualified as they should have been to be on the other side of that conversation. And anybody should.
And if you understood your audience.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's a key point. Actually, that's a key point. And I'm going to be much more coy than Ed. I think the right place for for talks of politics proper is over a beer, right?
Yes.
So
several beers, not whiskey.
With chasers.
Without getting into the politics specifically, but again, just looking at the data itself, right? The data is this was a low turnout election.
Mm-hmm.
Trump won fewer votes than Mitt Romney won in 2012, and Hillary Clinton won significantly fewer votes than President Obama won in 2012. Yep. Basically, the voters didn't like what they were being sold by either person.
Yep.
And turnout showed. And I think, to talk about what that means for the industry, there's a couple of ways I would look at that. One is, I think it would be unfortunate if the Republican Party looked at this as a mandate.
Oh gosh.
Because when you have a really low turnout election and you get fewer votes than the person who was your last candidate, that's hardly a ringing endorsement.
Right? Your last losing candidate.
Yeah, the last losing candidate. Right. That's hardly a ringing endorsement. By the same token, I think the Democratic Party needs to look at what they're selling and say, boy, we're doing something wrong too, because clearly we couldn't get enough people interested in what we had to say.
Yep.
So I think, fewer than about 50%.
You can sum it up because I don't have to be.
Holly, I swear I'm getting to it.
We'll turn it.
Please, let's talk about digital marketing. So this is where I'm going.
Data-wise, what we've learned is
Exactly.
if you have a data point here and a data point here, anything in between these two is going to be your result.
Right.
So the first group that does this a bit should see good results in their realignment.
Well,
so digital marketing.
So to make this about digital marketing,
to bring it to digital marketing, actually, when we talk about data and data-driven things, and it's so easy for us to be automating what we're doing in the marketing space right now, just to take the data at face value and say, this is the indicators and so forth. A friend of mine is a weather person at a TV station, and they have all this amazing satellite technology stuff, and they have all these models. I mean, just look at the hurricane stuff with the spaghetti shit that they do. Those are all models that are calculating all this massive amounts of data.
What is that called, Lauren?
Spaghetti what?
The spaghetti. Yeah, I know, right? So all of that goes on, and he still goes outside and looks up at the sky. And he said somebody made fun of him one time. He says, "What? The weatherman has to go check the weather?" And he says, "Damn right." He says, I'm looking at a TV screen with a bunch of data on it. And at the end of the day, I'm telling people on another TV screen what to expect for weather. I like to peek outside and to see whether or not I'm full of shit or not. And to that, it goes with what we're doing with marketing. We can sit in the back room of a hotel and chug revenue management data, trend analysis, linear regression stuff. We can look at
stuff. He's cleaning it up, ladies and gentlemen. Right? He's cleaning it up. And at the end of the day, we have to walk out and see who's standing at our front desk.
Right.
Who is that person that's actually coming into our hotel? And are we doing what we say we're doing when they walk in the door? And that has nothing to do with data. It has a lot to do with it, but not everything to do with it.
Well, and it's the difference between quantitative data and qualitative data, right? Quantitative data will tell you the numbers and things along those lines. Qualitative data will tell you what the numbers mean, right? It's very easy to look at data and say, oh, this means a specific thing or this means a specific thing. But if you're not talking to people and getting some color around that, you might be missing all kinds of stuff. We did a usability test years and years and years ago. And in those days, there weren't things like heat mapping tools or the like for your website, right? So we were in a usability lab and people brought back a multi-property search. So they did a search for Orlando, let's say, and we brought back, a page of 10 properties, as you often see on a multi-property thing. And we watched people in the lab, and literally 10 people in a row in the usability lab, they'd do a search for Orlando, the properties would come back, and all of them did exactly the same thing. They all leaned in real close to the monitor and tried to click on the picture.
I'll be right back.
Clicking on the picture.
He said he'd be right back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
clicking. Do anything, right?
There you go, Lauren. I see what you're doing.
Right, exactly. So clicking on the picture didn't do anything. And what it told us, and nothing in our analytics would have shown us that clicking on the picture didn't do anything, because we didn't have heat mapping. There was no heat mapping. That people were clicking on the picture, right?
Yep.
But until we saw people use it, we didn't know. And what it told us was clearly the photos need to be bigger and clearly they need to be clickable, right? If everybody's leading in, they're too small, and everybody's clicking on them, they want them really big.
Right.
Yeah. And qualitative data is what showed us that. We didn't do, a statistically significant sample. We didn't do,
sometimes design issues don't require statistically significant samples.
Correct. You see 3 people in a row have a problem, you have a problem.
Yep.
Period. There's actually a method of usability testing called heuristic usability testing, and that's exactly what it's about. You get like 5 people, and you'll learn a lot if they all do the same thing.
Yep.
So anyway, there's a lesson there in terms of layer in your qualitative data and your quantitative data, and you'll get a much clearer picture of what's working and not working and why for your guests.
I think
How was that, Holly? That was a good transition, right?
Yeah. I think also just to wrap up our problems of the political impact of the industry too is that the ability of unpredictability is going to in itself create generated opportunities because we're sweeping away what we thought was just going to be a continued progression of what's been built to this point. That uncertainty principle, I mean, there's books about it as to what it can really create as an impact. I mean, the change in positioning with countries, the change in positioning with having to renegotiate what was established relationships beforehand, whether they're re-established or redefined, still creates an uncertainty change. And that can lead to opportunities. And
sounds like travel to Russia may be a big thing.
You might be a little airlift,
But again, here's the thing, right? I would look at it as instead of like unpredictability, this speaks a lot to what digital has done to our businesses and what our digital has done to our hotels and the like. And it's hard to plan for unpredictability. What you can plan for is how you respond to unpredictability. So, I think that's the important takeaway in terms of how do we focus on being more nimble? How do we focus on being more responsive as things shift in ways that are very tough to predict? And I think that's important strategically. We're still in budget season. I realize a lot of folks are probably wrapping up their budgets, but can are you having discussions within your properties about how to allocate budget more dynamically to the things that work and how to pull them away from the things that don't work?
And how to leave room.
Yeah, how to leave room
situations.
Right. We've used a model right. We've used a model for years that I call core and explore, right? Where you spend 70% to 80% of your budget on the core things that you're going to do, and leave 20 to 30% of your budget to allocate to things that are just pure tests or just. Can
you send me a list of everyone you trained that to so I can put them on our prospect list? We understand you have an explore section of your budget.
Well, you know what? Everybody I'm working with budgets. Everyone I'm working with to build their budgets, marketing plans, roadmaps, all this other stuff. My first and primary question is, this isn't in stone, right? You must be flexible.
Right.
Okay. We're talking about the quantitative dollars being spent as a ratio of your budget and your expected return on that as an overall view, not as a segmented view, because you're going to have to start shifting some shells real quick as things progressively change. And if you say, no, it's not in the budget, or we've already spent it, so it's not there to be spent again, you are going to start losing your shares in that time slot that you made those decisions. So
yes, we don't write our budgets down using Sharpie marker on the wall of the GM's office.
Exactly.
Think more golf game. It's a pencil.
Yeah.
And when someone's not looking, sometimes you adjust it.
Actually, sometimes think sidewalk chalk and rainy days.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's funny though is as I was trying to dig up topics for this week, there was a collective holding of the breath when it came to news releases and statement positions and so forth. There really wasn't a lot in the space. Normally, there's this persistent drum of white noise.
Right.
And this week was a very lulled moment because the week started the way it did. And then afterwards, of course, there was the talk of, again, pundits saying, oh, the market's going to crash. It's never going to recover from Trump. Less than 24 hours later, it went right back to where it was. So if anything, it's a reaffirmation of stop trying to think you can tell what the future is going to do based on historical data.
Right.
Realize that the data is usable, but it's not the absolute authority.
Actually, funny thing about the stock market, this is a complete digression for just a moment, but has nothing to do with politics. I promise all of our viewers who have no interest in that. But, there's an old truism in the stock market that they follow forever and ever and ever, which is buy on the rumor, sell on the news, right? So when things were, uncertain, people were buying like crazy, right? And then once it was settled who was elected, okay, there were a lot of people dumping profits and things like dumping shares to take profits and the like, and then a lot of people buying in because they went, wait, opportunity,
right?
So, yeah,
so it's just half the population is upset. Half the population is elated.
Right.
So the half that are upset, that are exiting for fear, are just being replaced by the ones that were excited and see a buying opportunity. It's like
right. So it really comes back to, how do you plan for unplannable things, right? How do you structure your budgets? How do you structure your initiatives? How do you structure your efforts such that you can adapt quickly to whatever uncertainty happens? I mean, let's face it. Let's ignore the fact that there was an election this week. Nobody knows that there's going to be whether or not there will be a recession next year. Nobody knows whether or not there will be a slowdown in the markets where your properties are. Nobody knows whether supply that's supposed to come into market will exceed the demand that's supposed to come in market. You know, we have indications, we have things we pay attention to, but you know, you don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
So how prepared are you to adapt to whatever happens, right? You know,
just have a plan for each.
Yeah. You know, and have a plan for the stuff, have a plan to be able to adapt for the things you can't quite plan for.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for both of you in that regards, where you're talking about, I've often, when I traveled internationally, when I'm outside the U.S., I feel I get a more balanced news perspective because we're very U.S. centric.
Lawrence just not letting the politics thing go today.
He isn't. He's
No.
so excited. Like, this is the thing that's going to take this show to national syndication. We're going to pivot and become a political talking head show. Lauren, can I finish? Lauren, can I finish? Can I finish, Lauren?
No, hold on. CNN, and Fox News. No, okay.
Give it a shot.
Do you feel that international hospitality companies, because they're more engaged with multiple markets, have a broader perspective of the ebbs and flows like these things than a U.S. only domestic focused market where they tend to look at only the data that's being presented to them within the market?
No.
Do you feel international groups, hospitality, have a better perspective? No. Okay.
No. They have a different perspective. I think one of the challenges that digital has created, okay, so there's an advantage and a disadvantage from digital. And I think the pros outweigh the cons. Obviously, I wouldn't do this for a living if I didn't. When I was a kid, there was this guy, Walter Cronkite, right? And Walter Cronkite used to close his news broadcast by saying, "And that's the way it is." Right on this date, on November 11th, 2016, that's the way it is. And because Walter Cronkite said it, it was true. Right? And today, everybody has a megaphone and everybody can build an audience. And for hotel marketers, that's spectacular because there are no gatekeepers. There's nobody who's saying what you can say and what you can't say and who you can say it to and how you can reach them and all that other kind of stuff. That's awesome. Okay. By the way, there's no gatekeepers. Everybody has a megaphone. It can say what they want to whomever they want. And so, you know, people who are getting their news sources from a narrow set of news sources, regardless of what they are, aren't going to get a balanced picture, and that's true all around the world. This person I was talking to the other day, who was talking about, you know, this pokes a hole in everything we know about data. That is a very, very limited worldview.
That's actually, I believe, directly quoting CNN.
Yeah, could be.
No,
yeah.
That's directly from a point of view of what one of the commentators said on CNN.
Right.
And I remember when they said it, I was like, who is that person? I looked them up. I'm like, oh, no data background. Okay.
Right. You know,
Glad you said it, bud.
Well, we've talked about Moneyball before, right? And the book Moneyball, the movie Moneyball, etc. And I'm a huge... Yeah, Boston Red Sox, the Oakland A's initially, the Boston Red Sox, now the Chicago Cubs, etc. You know, and they said this war that used to exist between the data guys and the scouts were all the qualitative folks, not the quantitative folks. They said in practice does not exist any longer in baseball. That's ancient history. They know you need both. And you need a balanced view. And when I was just overseas over the weekend, I spent a lot of time talking to people from mostly the UK, but my client is out of the Nordic region. I talked to somebody from France when I was sitting in a hotel bar the other night, and somebody from Italy, actually, folks who were in for WTM, right? And people get the perspectives that they get based on the news sources and the information sources that they expose themselves to, and that's as true of business insight and business information as it is of political insight and political information. No, I don't think you necessarily get a more balanced worldview if you're overseas, if you don't actually choose to expose yourself to the broadest array of data sources and the broadest array of information. And you have to remember there's no gatekeeper, so you have to be a smart consumer of information.
Well, and it's funny though that you brought this up, Lauren, because like when I first saw the news that Trump won the election, I'm like, that's interesting. So I started just looking for stuff, and one of the first things I did is I'm like, let's go see what Sky News says about this. Because I was not going to go to Fox News because they're all like, and I wasn't going to go to MSNBC because they're all.
They're either popping champagne or popping caps. Sorry.
I'm animated today. I went over to Sky News and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's their point of view. Then I went to BBC. Then I went to CNN. I didn't go to Fox or MSNBC because I knew what I was going to get there. And so then I was just like, wow, this is really interesting. It was all in a pretty narrow scope of feedback. But the big thing I did notice in the global side was more of a wait and see. And, kind of remembering there's this shift that happens from, trying to get elected to then taking over office, right. And seeing what happens from there. And, even since then, I've been watching all of this. And we do have to remember, just because the information is put in front of you does not mean you should take it for face value ever.
Right.
And you should be always looking at it with two things in mind. What can I do to prove that it's right? And what can I do to prove that it's wrong?
Right.
And the problem is when you only do one of those.
Right.
Right. So it's not just, hey, I heard this today. I'm going to go just verify that it's right. That's going to bite you. Hey!
Well,
driving. Are you driving, Robert Cole?
I am driving.
See, we can't condone that.
Yeah,
Please, boys and girls watching, know that Mr. Robert Cole is jeopardizing his life and safety just to join the show.
When I was driving through West Texas, I couldn't quite get on, but I'm going to be on Interstate 20 for 6 miles. So,
okay,
fantastic. So but just to finish, just to add to your point, Ed. Sorry, boy, jet lag is kicking my butt today.
Yeah, jet lag. Sure, it's jet lag, not the hangover. It's jet lag.
I only had 17 drinks. No, I'm kidding. But that's true. That's why you A/B test, right? That's why you set up like a testing regimen. That's why test and learn actually works, because it will tell you, hey, this is our hypothesis, and this is what the data actually tells us, and let the market tell you when you get it right. Yep. We used to do a thing where basically we would have little bets with people in the office of who can come up with the best ideas, and it was always great to see people like throw out tons of ideas. We tested tons of stuff.
So Robert, I know you're probably going to get cut off, so do you want to talk about either your Cornell or Four Seasons experience here to make sure that it gets into the show?
I would love to, but instead I'll talk about my Wisconsin Lodging Association talk earlier this week, or my 2 presentations, because Tim's talking about A/B testing, which was one of the things I was discussing, and boy, I mean, this is a lot of operational people, things like that. A lot of general managers, owners, variety of folks, and just not really familiar with the concept at all, sort of thing. So
right.
I mean, just a huge gap when you get the operational. Actually, one interesting piece of trivia: Wisconsin has the 6th largest chapter of the Hotel and Lodging Association. So
really?
Yeah, which I thought was really kind of surprising. They're right after. Well, you obviously have like New York, Los Angeles. Oh, I'm sorry, New York, California, Florida. I think maybe Nevada. I don't know. You'd think Hawaii would be in there. You
Sure,
would think
sure.
just behind Illinois and some. Anyway, kind of really 400 people attending the probably good 200, 300 people at the conference. But yeah, I spoke on guest engagement on one session and travel, kind of future travel technology. And yeah, they're just sitting there going, "Wow, hadn't really heard any of that stuff before."
Right, right.
Pretty amazing.
So to beat Tim Peter to it, because I saw you quickly searching, I actually put up a blog post that I wrote for Leonardo.
I don't have a blog post. No, I got nothing this week.
Which actually,
great, by the way,
was sent out this week. It's the top 5 most common mistakes in hotel marketing. Number 3 will change your life. Sorry, that's clickbait.
I can't believe number 8. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Number 8 is just ridiculous.
Right.
It's the top 5. But I actually wrote this kind of paraphrasing what we tend to talk about week to week.
Right.
And it's really what I wanted to look at and make sure just people are kind of simplifying this. First of all, don't drink your own Kool-Aid.
Right.
My one thing I've always done and I've always built my teams around, and it tends to sound negative, but it also leads to like success, is always figure out how you're wrong. Like that should always be a thought in your head, is how am I wrong? Not how are you right. And that's in every case. So when you're having an interaction with someone and it maybe isn't going the way you thought it would, always start with you. How are you wrong? What are you doing? And then work out from that. And I think too many people skip that and just try to look for how am I right?
Right.
I'll add to it. I used to tell my teams when I used to have teams that there's 2 types of people in the world: the people that look for the only thing that confirms what they believe, and then there's the people that look for everything that confirms that they're wrong. And to always be that person that looks for what's wrong, because whatever's left is the right solution. So we're saying the same things in that sense. It's like, look, I like Tim, your point, saying do the balanced approach to it. Look what's good, look what's bad to the process. I just think, though, to your point, Ed, look first why you're wrong, because if you can knock down every argument against yours, nobody else can beat you at your own argument because you're walking in with a solution in place. So that's always the stronger way of approaching it. Tim, you made a very good point about the balance between data or quantitative versus qualitative.
Yeah.
And I think you just made a very pointed piece about the value proposition of revenue managers melding with digital marketers, but more importantly, melding with operations people. Because at the end of the day, digital marketing and revenue management is sitting in front of a computer, hacking and chewing on stuff. And meanwhile, operations exists in the real world of who's in your hotel doing business with you. And they have the real insight about not the demographic profiling that your stats did in marketing, and not your trend analysis in revenue management about segmentation. It's about this real person really at my front desk. So it's a great argument to make. You got to balance your perspective between the two.
We have to unify.
So Robert, I want to go to Robert for 1 second while we have him. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
You've talked before here on the show, and you and I had a conversation about this in Chicago a couple months ago, about the general manager who said revenue management's terrible or something to that effect. Can you bring that up again? I think this is and I'm not setting this up at all well, but I really would love for you to bring this up, because I think this is a great topic.
Exact quote, but he basically said revenue management was the stupidest thing that ever happened to the hotel industry.
And why did he say that, Robert?
A general manager very successful general manager of a large destination resort, which is absolutely one of the best hotels and well-known hotels in the United States, because of basically they're sitting there. Basically, his point was they're trying to run hotels like an airline. All they're focused on is maximizing revenue. They are not looking at the long-term lifetime value of these guests and treat them as individuals. Everything's very short term, and it's just how do we keep tweaking this rate? And he's like, that's not the that's not the game. The game is how do you really provide great hospitality, and then make sure that you have lifetime guests who keep bringing people back, telling people about it. And
sounds like he needs new revenue managers, because good revenue managers would. It sounds like he needs new revenue managers because it sounds like he's only been exposed to a one-dimensional approach, which is just price yield on demand.
Right, but that, I would say, what percentage of revenue managers does that represent? It's well over half, the majority, right? So 70%. I don't know. So yeah, and that's kind of the thing we talked about. But then the other conversation that was very interesting was he has some very high-powered owners, again, some very, very well-known owners of the property, and they've got crappy Wi-Fi because the owners are going back to basically pushing back, going, show me the ROI of spending a ton of money to get great Wi-Fi in this hotel, and nobody can give them the brand, and they work with a major brand. Nobody can give them sufficient backup for it, which is bad, right? So these are real estate guys going, if you can't justify it, we aren't going to do it. And they are kind of.
So here's your problem, actually, and Lauren, I've talked to you about this a lot. The actual problem in this situation is an identity crisis. Right, so the owners are real estate-minded people, but they have a GM who is obviously deeply hospitality-minded, and that struggle is what's causing the problem.
Right.
Because there's nothing wrong with either of their points of view unless they're both trying to exist at the same time, because they don't work that way.
Right. Well, and in some cases, I would say that the general manager is able to overcome some of the failings of the owners being so revenue oriented and so short term oriented and not doing the right things. That yes, his people are very well trained. They're providing exemplary service, and folks are overlooking some of the shortcomings, like having crappy Wi-Fi. So the hotel could probably be doing better, but it's doing fine. It's same as hotels that one hotel I used to do some work for is a number of years ago. One of the tremendous name, outstanding golf, outstanding tennis, world-renowned spa, but the spa was like walking back to the 1950s, sort of thing. And some of the spa attendants had been there since the 1950s, and they were great, but just really kind of tired, needed work, that sort of thing. But they had their reputation and amazing service, and people kind of overlooked it and went, it isn't the newest place, but wow, it's fantastic. Right?
It's funny that you brought up the Wi-Fi thing, Tim, and Robert. Eric's listening to us and he texted out that he's having a hard time hearing you. So we're
gonna have to kick you off, Robert.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Interstate 20. So.
Well, first off, thank you for taking the dedication to make it while you're still driving, dude. Thank you. Honestly, you didn't have to, and I sincerely appreciate you made the effort to pop onto it.
I'm sorry I couldn't be making more.
And he cuts off.
And he cuts off. And we're done. Okay, so you'll appreciate this. I was literally talking to a GM of a hotel, and we're doing budget stuff, and I was asking him, because he had very few pictures. He had this beautiful picture of one of those really funky chandeliers, those blown glass chandeliers that's worth a amount of glass. I think that's what it was. Anyway,
because you're in Florida, so it's got to be Chihuly.
Thank you. So it's like this really funky chandelier, and he wanted it as a part of his pictures. And it's like, okay, it's like the owner always wanted a picture of his portico of his building or something like that. So I was like, all right, dude, I appreciate that, and so forth. And then we get past that topic, and we start talking about Wi-Fi. And the most persistent TripAdvisor complaint was shit Wi-Fi. And same argument. Why am I going to invest? There's no ROI in it. So I pull the picture back up of the chandelier and says, all right, you said this is real expensive. What's the ROI on that one?
Right.
Silence. Just silence. And I said, he can't come back with his feeble, well, it shows the quality of our product. What's the ROI on it?
Right.
So
that's exactly what
I'm having a quality product.
All right.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's so cool you brought that up because I was going to use that some other time because I thought it was just. I love when you make an owner get silent. You know, where they're like, "All right, dude, we made our point. Let's move on now." Anyway.
So this is, by the way, I want to go back to Ed's blog post just for a moment. This is a brilliant post. I mean, this is really good stuff, and it's absolutely must read.
You want to put it on the screen?
Yeah, if you'd like.
If we want to pick it apart, let's pick it apart. Let's talk about how I was wrong.
Well,
no, nothing wrong.
No, there's nothing wrong in here, Ed. This is provably true in all cases. I think the one that particularly resonates with me that I think we miss a lot, and it kind of builds on what we're talking about what's the ROI of the various areas, is the second point, which was only competing at the time of the transaction. Yes. I think we have over-optimized ourselves to death sometimes in this business, where we're focused very much on the book now, how we get them to the book now, instead of, how do we get people at various points in the funnel. So I was doing some work with HSMAI yesterday, and I was looking at some various initiatives that different companies have done, sort of a benchmarking thing. And what we saw consistently amongst various people were all about how do we get people to book right this moment. And everything that was the most interesting stuff were the things where we got people who were new customers, who were earlier in the funnel, who were, further upstream, and moved them a little bit at a time further down the funnel. And that's an area that is just underinvested in so many companies. I'm a big advocate of paid search. It's a great channel. It's a fantastic channel. And you can obviously test and measure what's working and what's not working really well, right? Except we often have a tendency to stop bidding on keywords that quote unquote don't work. But do they really not work? Or are they just further up the funnel and you're actually bringing in traffic?
Well, and that's the thing I try to start bringing up more and more with everyone that wants to listen to me, is really this idea of you got to stop designing your experience to one path. And that one path is the path that like the brands have. It's the path that Expedia has. It's the path that Airbnb is chasing. And you need to, really look at your marketing holistically and understand, first of all, it takes longer and you have to plan further in advance to actually think through top of funnel, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper.
Right. Absolutely right.
To interact with people before they've made decisions.
And also, too, adding to your point, Tim, about, is it really a bad idea or not a bad idea? It might be a not good idea at that time. I always, when talking with people and you throw up an idea, it's like, oh, yeah, we tried that. Well, when did you try that? What was the circumstances around it? And maybe at the time, yeah, it wasn't a good idea, but, nothing old is new, or nothing new is old kind of perspective. Everything can be brought back into a different time frame, and it could be a hugely successful thing now. Right. Because the circumstances or the whatever has changed, and now it's a great idea. But to just abandon it because of a single time use or failure doesn't really give the warranted idea, because you had the idea. So
right. And I think one of the places that we need to invest better as an industry is into things like our analytics and into things like our measurement. And I don't just mean the tools. I actually mean like the people who know how to interpret what they're looking at more effectively. I've used for years this concept that, for every dollar you're spending on tools, you should be spending $10 on people who know how to use them correctly.
See, and that's the key thing. It's the people who know how to use them.
Yeah.
And then you also need, like, if I were to give like the one thing, I would say universally everyone inside this industry would be better if they, invested in. It would be strategic planning and thinking training.
Right.
For all. Because a lot of the times, and I've talked about this before, I've taught my entire team that whenever they're asked anything, before they even embark on answering the question, the first thing they should ask is, what are you trying to achieve? What is your goal?
Right.
Because the problem is the answer is frightening, that like most of the time they're taken aback and they don't actually have a clear answer for what they're trying to achieve or what their goal is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well,
absolutely.
Taking your number 3, I'm leaving on the screen because we'll go through them and then we'll go back to us again on the screen. But I just had this live conversation where they're trending down for the remainder of this year. They've some of last year's didn't come through the way they expected. They're downsizing some of their expected goals. And the first reaction is, let's send out an email. And it's like, whoa.
Hit the button. The bananas always come out when we hit this button.
When this big red button happens, the food drops from the little dispenser. Yeah. So, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let's do this constructively. Let's take what's on the books last year, and then let's do a derived market definition. Let's take that. Let's throw it up as a custom audience. Blah blah strategy. Like, okay, let's define and look at better conversions for the audiences that are most likely to take advantage of what we're doing, and not offer them a discount. They wanted to drop their pants and like, oh yeah, let's go over and pour out the price.
Actually, funny story. I'm sure I've told this story here before. I was working with a property group who said, oh, we hate email. Email's terrible for us. We make so little money on it. So I went and pulled up a bunch of their old emails, and every single one was 30% off, 40% off, 35% off, et cetera. And I'm like, of course you make less money. That's the only thing you ever send people.
Right.
Go figure that they actually believed you.
And they trained themselves to expect that they're going to get something less than the meal.
Right.
But then, they want to do this all send. Well, the more the better. No, it's not. Somebody that lives in Oregon is not going to take advantage of a 2-week out offer, dude. It just doesn't work. Right. Target the people that are going to actually take advantage of your offer, and don't offer them a discount, because if you think less of we've had this discussion. I know I'm preaching to the choir. If you think less of your product, they're going to think less of your product. Your price is your price. It's competitive. It's in market. It's similar. What you're offering is your value proposition of what your product represents. Make that come through on the email. Just don't do this half-hacked, cut and paste, crappy ass looking email to everybody that you have an email address from, whether you got it off of a trade show or somebody signed up to your newsletter. Don't do those things. So it is. I love that you put this point in, Ed, that
And everyone needs to understand that every email you send has a cost to it.
Yeah, you lose.
And it's so you're actually, whenever you send an email to someone that they do not find relevant to them, you are eroding your relationship and your brand with that person.
Yep.
So email should be a surgical tool.
Yep. If I had the camera on me, I'd be shaking my head. Yes, because it's true.
No, we can hear it, Lauren.
So I'm actually, since we're talking about where you're wrong, I'm actually going to challenge that slightly.
Okay.
Slightly. I agree with you directionally completely. I would also say that you have to remember, think about what the purpose of the email is. Think about what the purpose of the customer is. If we do talk about building relationships top of funnel and the like, there are going to be times where you might not have the segmentation in place to do some of the surgical targeting that you want, but that doesn't mean you need to be blasting discounts to people. You can be talking about things that are going on in market. You can be talking about other things that set you up more as a authority on the destination, more as a resource that guests can learn from and the like. But don't focus on it being a transactional email. In that
so you'd say that using a discount-based strategy is probably not a good idea.
Using a discount-based strategy is like hitting yourself in the head with a hammer, right?
So you'd say that instead you should shift your focus to building long-term relationships and inspiring guests with experiences and value brought to
now
guests.
That I agree with completely.
And here comes the beach ball over the plate, folks.
Hey, as I said a moment ago, I agree completely, and believe that this is something that everyone should read. So I agree unequivocally.
Sorry, it's as you were saying it, I was watching Lauren scroll the screen, and I'm like, so you're saying number 4?
Well, yeah,
probably a legitimate addition to the point of number 3.
That's right.
No, I mean, here's the thing. It's challenging when you're trying to give insights. Because honestly, my 1 through 5 is really, it's one idea that all flows broken into 5 snackable pieces. But I agree with you. And honestly, quality content can be mass delivered.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the one thing I don't want people to take away when they read spamming your email database.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Tell me a hotel off the top of your head that has the type of content we're talking about that can be mass delivered. Name one. I got one.
You got one?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I think there are a bunch. I think of people
No,
like...
I know, but name one, because if it was
The Kahala.
really that good, there you go. That's a good one. The Broadmoor.
The Broadmoor.
Yeah,
for
Broadmoor.
sure.
I was thinking about something that's established, that has its brand identity, it's iconic.
Right.
Here's the reason I
Ritz-Carlton.
put it this way, is not to say that no one's doing it, but think about the ones we just named.
Right.
They're doing it incredibly well.
Right.
So everyone who's listening who wants to figure out what that type of content is, there you go. You got two hotels to go look at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By the way, for this, don't compete on price or using a discount-based strategy. So there's this blog post I wrote some time ago that I had to throw out there. This is actually one of the most popular pieces I've ever written. This gets traffic constantly. Called "The Race You Can't Win," and it's basically all about this race to the bottom and why it's a terrible idea. There's tons of academic research that backs up why this is a stupid idea.
Well, here I actually have a real life example of this from my Easy Yield days.
Please.
So there is a revenue management system based out of Miami that was purely adjusting rate based off of your comp set.
Oh God.
They had a hiccup in the early days.
Oh my God.
That actually caused the actual race to zero to happen. Yeah, that was a interesting one. And then there's a very popular channel manager today that again had that type of idea of looking at your market and comp set, but in their early days before they thought through safety measures and stuff like that.
Right.
They actually crashed their own system by sending their holiday email to their own clients and then picking it up and then using that as an adjustment.
This actually isn't funny. This is sad for the poor hotels that were impacted by it. But I
can't even imagine what the vendor felt like. Oh my gosh, to have to make that phone call. Oh, by the way, guess what? Let me introduce you to my E&O insurance provider.
Yeah.
You'll be wanting to make a claim.
To not miss your number 5 point, which I thought is equally as solid as all the rest of them, but also for different reasons. Unfortunately, and this goes big to the consulting aspect, and I'm sure you face it all the time too. You're talking to clients or potential clients, and they're talking about their current relationship with their agencies and so forth.
Right.
And one of the most mundane things that is easiest to fix is the fact that the set and forget mentality that they've developed as a relationship with their agency. Whether it's inspired because they don't cooperate or collaborate with their agency, they didn't care to, and so the agency just did what they were able to do and they left it alone. So it's not their fault, or the agency trying to cost effectively downplay its relationship by pushing down what it doesn't get asked to do, doesn't do.
Well, or to be fair, to be very fair, lots of hotel operators are very good hotel operators and know that they don't know how to ask the right questions of their agency, right? I mean,
but a good agency knows how to get the right question out of their client too.
That's the theory, right?
that should be the practice. But yes, but that's
great agency would know how to do that.
Oh, say that again.
A great agency would be doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Most don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Most don't.
Very few do.
And we come across them. And you get into this where you're just getting a monthly report, which is knee-jerk reaction at best because you're already 30-day-old stale. You're obviously missed your window of chance, and the strategies that go from one month to the next are not the same strategies for the month you just left. So it's an active relationship. So that's set and forget. Like, I have checkbox did PPC, campaigns loaded, check. That mentality kills your long-term results because you may have great starting results, which inspired the original configuration, but you just see them erode and change because the same process gets dulled and it goes away. And then you get the end of the year decision process all over again. And
so I worked with a client once. Great set of hotels, etc. Good folks. And they brought me in to help them sort out some things. And within a couple of weeks, it became clear to me that one of two things was true of their agency, and the agency no longer exists. So I feel comfortable saying this.
Name it.
No, that's not how I roll. That's not how I roll. But I will tell you, it's very tough for me to talk about without getting kind of pissed off, because there only one of two things could be true in the case of the agency that they were working with. They were either morons or they were stealing from the client.
Mm-hmm.
Because they couldn't be this bad at it without one of those two things being true. And to the credit of the hotels, they brought me in. They could have brought anybody in who, had some background in this, but they brought me in because they were looking, they knew they struggled with this and didn't know the right questions to ask and felt like this can't be right. We're spending too much money for too little value, for too little return. We hear people say, this works, that works, this other thing works, and we're not seeing it. So something's got to be not right here. And it was just a simple fact of the agency, just no two ways about it. Either morons or thieves, period. And that drives me nuts because, you have folks who are good at doing what they do in terms of running a hotel, in terms of providing a great guest experience, and getting no help from their quote unquote partners to actually tell their story well. Yeah. And that just really drives me nuts. And so I think this idea of setting it and forgetting it, you don't have to have a consultant, as much as it pains me to say that. You do have to know you have good partners you're working with and can ask the right questions and learn
and educate
the right questions are. Yeah, exactly. Educate yourself to ask those right questions.
See, now I would disagree with you on the consultancy because we've had this fun discussion.
Oh, I think, don't get me wrong, everybody should hire a consultant.
Yes, but the reality of the value proposition of the consultant isn't the heavy lifter. It's the policing of it. It's the making sure that there is the dialogue between the expectations and needs of the client for his marketing goals and the facilitation of those that say they're going to do it. And that bridge has to sometimes exist because, to be fair to the client, they don't need to learn how the sausage is made, but they do need to understand what they want out of it should they need it. And so, you need a consultant a lot of times to be the guiding force that sits on their side of the table that says and calls bullshit and says, no, that's not acceptable or that's not correct. And then
so you're a sausage sommelier.
Yeah, sausage sommelier. I know the taps you should put together. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this, but Tim, when you were talking about sitting in a little cafe,
sausage sommelier is a hashtag.
Yeah, we should do it as a hashtag.
Get the logo.
When you talked about being in Paris or in Europe at the time, this last trip of yours, sitting around a cafe, drinking a beer and time, immediately I flashed to Casablanca, black and white, smoke-filled room, a little accordion music in the background. You sitting at the bar going, "What do you want from me? I do not know." I had this visual pop in my head.
Actually, I more pictured him trying to talk to a hotelier about these ideas and him going, "Frankly, Tim, I don't give a damn."
Oh, you're mixing your classic movie references. Come on. Well, gentlemen, not that I don't give a damn. Unfortunately, today is my back-to-back-to-back day, and I try never to do this. Unfortunately, I do have another call, and I'm going to have to run a little earlier than normal this week. But I have no other choice.
No worries. Is there anything you want to?
We'll talk about you.
Oh yeah,
for another 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I would really hope you both have something better to do with your time. But sure,
you're a great topic. No, is there any topic you want to throw on the table that we can continue the conversation with, or something you want to throw out there before you left?
I think you should talk about Google's search index and the whole mobile index thing. I think that's incredibly important for people in this industry to be aware. We talk about mobile a lot, and yet I was asked the other day by a client to recommend the best hotel mobile websites. I spent a long time before I went, that's a really good question. There are some good ones out there, but we're not good enough. And there's a lot of work to be done, and it's going to start to matter in a big way, given some of the changes that Google's making. So I think that's something very worth talking about. And I wish I could join the conversation for that.
Oh, that's fine. Ed has an announcement to make about December 4. Is it December? Which December? The show? You got us a special guest.
Oh yeah, December 2nd.
Yeah,
that's a Friday, right?
Yeah.
We will have Alex, the founder of Alice, to come and talk about the guest engagement world that Lauren had brought up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I already have a lot of people that are I leaked that out saying, hey, you keep asking me these questions. So when you hear from the horse's mouth, the actual creator, one of the ones that you'd be considering.
Sure. I'm sure Alex will appreciate you calling him a horse. Yeah.
A nice horse. No, but so we're going to have a decent audience for that as well for that, I hope, in that sense of engagement on the chat side. So it's something to look forward to. But Mr. Tim, just so you know, and in case you missed the emails, you got to be there.
I will be there. Actually, I may have taken my last trip for the year, unless something changes.
Do none of you go to the Expedia conference?
I have
always my last trip of the year.
No, I got a couple of things. I got to drive down to DC once. I'm going to drive up to Boston once. But those aren't really trips. Exactly. Yeah. That's a couple hours.
The time zone change.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Though I might have to do one quick flight because at the moment I think I'm $137 from Platinum, and I'm not missing because of $137.
So fly to Boston.
I'll do it. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out my DC trip, whether to run points or to buy the freaking ticket because it'll pop into Platinum.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, gents, I really do have to run. Thanks as always.
Good day, sir.
Great conversation. Great talking with you. And
where can people find you?
TimPeter.com.
/ anything you want to make up, there will be a blog post for it.
That is actually true. We've got the random web page generator now, so it works out really well.
TimPeter.com / clean tuna cans.
TimPeter.com / sausage sommelier. Everyone, have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. All right,
Tim. Thanks for taking the time.
Bye now.
Oh, dude, that's funny. Yeah, we should do that as a hashtag. When we pop up with this crazy, we should just do the hashtag out. All right. So to his point, the mobile first, the indexing and so forth. Everybody's downplaying its impact. Like, oh, it's no big thing right now. It's just getting situated in place. No, it's a big deal right now. It's not just getting situated in place. It's actually happening. And let me throw the link up so we have that here. Hold on.
Yeah, throw that up there. And by the way, if you have a website that you are spending money to drive traffic to, and it is not a high quality mobile experience, you are wasting money.
You're throwing it away.
Yeah, you are wasting money.
Yeah, and for that matter, just taking the time with. I know that probably in the budgeting process with a lot of people right now, they're looking at the evaluation of their website, the redevelopment of their website, the expansion of the website, whatever, changing centralized platforms, unifying platforms, whatever. You got to put this conversation in the mix of saying, wow, it's not whether you have a mobile strategy, it's whether your strategy should be mobile, and what else are you doing outside of that, because it should be the core of your direction to what you're doing. I mean, that's the platform of choice. That's the communication of choice, and everything else.
Think about your own use. Yeah. I sit in front of my computer with my phone. There are things I do on my phone, and there are things I do on my computer.
Yeah, at the same time. And it's funny is that it used to be a hot topic. The multi-screen conversation, it used to be conference fodder. That used to be the thing that everybody threw in the conference agendas. The multi-screen world where you're watching TV and you're, oh, hey, I forgot, Tim isn't here and Robert isn't either. We're on Apple TV now. Woo!
Hey,
we got an app out there. Pretty much, it's an app within an app. It's called Tapla, and what it does, it allows to load up all of your YouTube stuff into a grid channel program, so you can do the playbacks on Apple TV.
So for all of you who just feel like your family is missing out on your favorite show, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Now you can get 24/7. I can't even keep a straight face when I say that. Okay, but we do have a 24/7 show. We do.
We do.
And we have almost 5 days of non-repetitive content.
That's amazing. Soon it'll be
Now,
2 weeks.
Wait, what was your famous quote? Out of that 5 days, we might have 10 minutes of real tangible value stuff.
Out of the 5 days of content, we promise 10 minutes will teach you something.
That's right. But if you act now, you get the extra CD pack.
The outtakes and the green room footage.
Room. Oh, that would be way too much fun. All right. Speaking of TV, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So anyways, like just in summation on the mobile topic, if your site is not mobile friendly, like get on it. And actually you may even want to consider cutting some of your spend because you're throwing away a lot of spend.
Or if you can't put it in your early of the year budget, don't spend the money wasting. Save the money when you can put it into your budget correctly. Yeah, backload it if you have to, because and that goes to also the refinements in the mobile space. People don't realize it's not bleeding edge stuff anymore. It's not hocus pocus stuff. There are sniffers, which are means of determining where that mobile device is being connected to geographically, that can really begin to refine your display processes as well. Mm-hmm. It's just not being responsive. It's about retailoring the content you're presenting based on known data, not to use the bad word today, but location being one of the primary issues. If it's within a 3 to 5 mile radius of your property, you should be displaying different sources of content that are more relevant to their location than just the general, I could be anywhere looking for more information kind of stuff.
And man, if you do that, you don't need an app.
Yeah. Go for
what?
It. I know. No, yeah, it's anyway. So yes, the mobile indexing, and also using it not just to display content but to interact with the world of bots. I mean, I'm actually playing with making a messenger bot right now through an app that makes messenger bots, because learning anyway. It's just you can do these bots that you can actually do transactions on. It's not as hard as people think it is. I was really surprised that there's, of course, companies that are doing WYSIWYG interfaces that allow you to create a bot for your mobile platform on iMessenger or platforms that you wouldn't think you had access to, that you can connect with within your website, and it could be a WordPress website, and you have that function in there. Holy crap! I can have you book a room through iMessenger with PayPal on my website. I think that's just crazy that somebody can do that for themselves. I mean, not that anybody wants to, but that you can do that, and it's not expensive.
And like anything else, always start with what is the goal.
Good point. Because why do it if you can't sustain it? If you can't sustain it and it doesn't provide value, why do it?
Yeah. And I like to remind people of that, because people like you and I, we do these things just so we understand it.
Yep.
Because we need to always be thinking about the future, not today. So yeah, to be clear, before you embark on something like that, what's your goal? What are you hoping to achieve?
Yep. And what's the typical? Remember, boys and girls, we're trained professionals. We do.
Remember, boys and girls, we make this up as we go along.
That's right. We pull this straight out of our pockets. No, but it is
our idea dream chess.
That's it, the magic little box. But no, to know how to do it is the key element of why I'm motivated to it. The functionality, scalability, absolutely not. Yep. I mean, to do something like that, there would be such a unique combination of circumstances for it to be a valid thing for somebody to advance that right now. But it's coming down the pipe. There will be this progression that eventually these things will be standard integrations, not exceptions to integrations. So those things will come.
Eric Dorr has been watching us a lot lately, and we should just invite him. Eric, will you join our broadcast?
I keep asking. He never likes to join, but maybe he'll listen to you this time. He's I'm going to see him out in Phoenix. He's out in Phoenix.
I know. I saw him the last time I was out there.
Yeah.
I went out there because of him. Oh, next week.
All right, next week. All right.
He's getting his hair did.
That's what it is. He's getting the haircut and the manicure, so he's looking sharp and sexy.
That's right. That's right.
Hinting a tux. Well, okay. Hey, go black and white. It's all good. All good. But yeah, no, Eric.
You don't need the top half.
Yeah. You don't need to worry about the
Save the money.
Yeah, and the cummerbund, don't even waste your time. It's below the line. All right. The other was the Facebook's trying to sell ads on TV screens. And that kind of what made me pop into the Apple TV thing. And I'll throw the article link up to it. This isn't your traditional TV ad concept. This isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the Apple TVs, the Kindle, the Fires, the Google Chrome, the interfaces that you can buy space on. Now, this isn't new. This isn't like this has not been here before. This is just Facebook entering into an already robust space.
And here's why, though, I think it's good. Because Facebook has one of the most user-friendly ad management platforms out there. And so this is good for the people who do like to try and do things themselves and like to try and learn how to do things, because Facebook ads, I mean, they're just so much better. They're like, working with the Facebook ad program is so much better than any of the other ones I've seen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And there's a lot more, I think, more relevant data to choose to make your ads better than the ad selection choices in other platforms, Google included.
The timing of this is amazing, too, if you really think about it, because what's the big thing happening this month that is a fundamental shift in how we consume television?
Yeah.
Lauren, do you know?
Yeah. Oh, no.
AT&T
you're
is
talking about
releasing their DirecTV as a web subscription service.
Yes. I'm sorry, I thought you were making a statement.
100 channels.
Yeah.
For $35 a month, any device.
Look at PS2. They're doing their live TV stream on it.
Right, but that's still tied to a device.
Yes.
AT&T is doing it right with DirecTV, because they are just saying, listen, you've picked your OS, you've picked your TV, platform. Here you go. Get rid of your local carrier. And that's amazing. I mean, that's going to change how much consumption is done now on these devices. Because as it is, I mean, if we bought the latest version of the Apple TV, and I had the first version of the Apple TV. The first version of the Apple TV was useless. Like screen mirroring was all it was good for. But the latest version, it turns your TV basically into an iPad. Yeah. And we no longer watch any of the kids' networks through our cable provider. Mm-hmm. We watch it through Apple TV. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how more and more the content is moving away from these cable boxes and moving to internet. And because you want to be able to watch it anywhere. I want to watch, I want my kids to be able to watch Nick Jr. at a hotel that doesn't have it. Well, I have a phone. Here you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I travel with a Chromecast just simply to go over and jack it in the back of a TV when I'm in a hotel room, just to throw my stuff up because it's the smallest carrier.
Just to see if the hotel has locked down the port. I know that's why you do it. You don't do it because you actually care. You're just like, let's see if they're secure.
Let's see if we can actually get into this crap. Yeah, well, there's that part too. But no, you're very right about it, because I mean, right here, being in Florida as I'm now, this here I have cable cutting stuff on, where I have a Tableau box which is hooked up to a nice antenna, so I get all the local HD. And it allows me to schedule recording because I have an external hard drive plugged into it. So I can record anything off the local TVs I want. And I play it on anything I want, just like I have a Sling box sitting back in my Dallas home that I can access my DirecTV from. Now, I want to cut DirecTV off. But in order to do that, there's some, it gives you codes to be able to use the apps for a lot of these places like HDTV and stuff that I'd lose as soon as I shut it off. Now, here comes AT&T Universe. And they're coming in saying, no, we're going to allow you to do this, this, and this. And then Sling is offering it too, saying, hey, for a monthly low fee, we offer these 45 channels that you have access to. It's great.
Yeah. So the thing that's going to be really troublesome for Sling and some of these other boxes is AT&T's kicking off that the early customers of all of this get free Apple TVs.
They need the people to be on the platform to get it out there, yeah.
Well, they want it on the platform that they have the most data from, because Apple, again, they've done it on that app universe. So that's going to change, and that's why this Facebook timing is really interesting, because Facebook is getting into a crowded space right at the time that this space is about to change in a way that Facebook knows very well, because basically your TV is just going to be another mobile device.
Yep. Oh, well, look right now with Google Assistant having rolled out, and you know that Apple's going to announce early part of the year their home version, because they didn't force that app on your phone for no reason. So now with Apple TV being in place and having what you're doing with Siri on your Mac and everything else, now you need something in the home like Echo like what Google Assistant is doing, to go over and connect all that stuff together. So now your TV is you're talking to it just like you're doing with Amazon, you know, but you get to walk away with it with your iPad or your phone or your whatever else you're carrying with you, your Mac or whatever. So it turns into the ultimate assistant, which we talked about before. So yeah, people think that small little things like this are just ripples, small ripples, but really they're just precursors.
I can see like a nice angle to what looks to be
that's Renee, my wife.
Looks to be
That's
your
my
kitchen.
wife.
Hi, Renee.
Yeah, there she is. Yep, there she is.
Nice.
That's the right angle you can see her. They went
just-
over to the Veterans Parade. They went to, we were one street away on the Veterans Parade, which is probably, I kept muting the microphone because Harleys would drive by, sirens would go by. Oh, there she is. Hello.
Hi.
She's like, let me shut that for you.
Let me shut that door right now. Yeah, let's be done with that. But anyway, so yes, yeah. And by the way, I actually have found very fitting that Veterans Day ended this week. It's a reminder that regardless of whom we are, there's people that are willing to put on a uniform and fight for our rights, no matter who we are.
That's right.
And it's good that we remind ourselves of that after given what's going on and all that. So
That's right.
But
You were just
okay,
dying for this to be a political show today.
I know. I'm trying to.
You're like,
actually
Tim, don't
not.
walk away from it. No. Hold on. Let's reel it
I
into
just wanna go
politics.
But I know it's like I'm a believer in the chaos theory right now. I believe that this really is going to create things we don't understand the ripple of, good and bad. Opportunity breeds out of these things. And I think there's great opportunities that are going to come out of all of this. You know, we can't predict the good or the bads of it. We just have to be able to be ready to assume what we need to do.
And like anything else, my piece of advice is educate yourself.
Mhm.
That's it.
More than one source.
Yes.
More than one source. Just because it pops on Facebook does not mean it's legit,
Right.
and nor does it mean if it pops on CNN it's any more legit. Unfortunately, they haven't proven themselves to be that.
I actually have a really
right
good piece of advice for everyone. If you are a Democrat, you should watch Fox News. And if you are a Republican, you should watch all other media. And the reason I say that is don't listen to news stations that tell you what you feel. Like, listen to the ones that are giving you the opposing view. It'll just make you more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I wanted to, and we've had this conversation in the pre-show before, where you want to listen to people that disagree with you, not listen waiting for you to interrupt them, tell them why they're wrong, but to listen to see if they can actually convince you to think the way they're thinking, because you're not thinking that way.
Right.
And that's why in the agreement we were talking about, listening to other people that I was listening to both spectrums of the conversation on Facebook, no matter how weird sounding and because it was that.
I actually tend to only click through the ones that appear to be on the other side of like what I believe in, just because I'm interested to see the point of view.
I want to see why they think the way they do. I respect them as a person, or I wouldn't have engaged them on Facebook.
Right.
So why would they think that way? But now, as I told you in the green room, now that that's over, I'm looking for the quality of good winners and good losers, being appreciative of the fact that we all should be coming together and not continuing that terrorism of each other as being us and them thing. And like I told you, I started befriending people just because it's like, I'll follow a lot of people, but I'm not going to follow somebody that's going to be hypocritical.
You can mute people, by the way.
Yeah, I just get rid of them.
I mute people. You know what I do is I'm friends with a lot of people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. People behave completely differently on Facebook than they do on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like your escape. Oh, I don't want to hear anything about politics. I'm going to go on LinkedIn.
Facebook is being a redneck, and then LinkedIn is being a British royalty.
Yeah.
So you're over here drinking a beer, you're shooting a deer, and then you walk over here and you're sipping tea with a pinky out.
Exactly.
Hey, speaking of LinkedIn, I'm putting the LinkedIn of what I thought would be, from a tools perspective, I thought this was a neat shift. LinkedIn sponsored email is now available for all marketers.
InMail is horrible. InMail is horrible. Like, don't use InMail.
No? Okay.
Don't do it. It's bad. Have you ever gotten an InMail?
I've got a few, but not a lot.
Do you ever respond to any of them?
One I did, only because it was something that I had just looked for.
Was it the first InMail you ever got?
Nah, it wasn't the first.
Okay.
But it was something that was related to what I had looked into. So I wanted to continue the inquiry is what I was looking into. So justifiably, it was of an interest driven that I got it.
Right.
So I followed through with it.
InMail is so intrusive. Like, it's seen as intrusive. We've done a lot of market testing around it. We've done a lot of experimenting around it. Don't do InMail. Like
Okay.
you're better off emailing someone to their professional email address than you are doing an email to them.
What do you find in experience-wise with LinkedIn to be a good engagement paid for ability of LinkedIn?
Well, their ads are really high quality. It's just a lot of people shy away from them because they're expensive. But I'll tell you, if you're selling a B2B product, LinkedIn is going to get you your most qualified, highest converting customer, and nothing else. Like their audience creator and all of that, like you literally could say, I want this message in front of the 10 of this person that exist in this industry. And it will be there. And yes, you will pay a premium for it, but no one else will see it. So LinkedIn ads are amazing. They're, and we've run lots of different experiments on what type of content works on LinkedIn ads. And do research on that. It's not hard to find. Mm-hmm. But I will say their ad system is like really hard to understand. But the impact, if you're tracking the impact of the traffic that comes through for every click, it's just so much better, so much higher converting than Facebook or Twitter for B2B.
Okay. See, for me, I mean, and again, going back to just taking my own advice, listening to a counter opinion, I didn't think InMail was bad below a certain strata of business type. I can completely appreciate what you're saying about when you're getting into the executive levels, C-suite levels, or decision makers on scale of companies, that you're being counterproductive to email. Because I would recommend never just to shove something in somebody's inbox just because you can, because you profile them correctly. But I thought from a low scale, small business or engagement to local business,
there's better ways to reach. It's seen as an intrusion.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then, would you say the same for Gmail too?
LinkedIn Sales Navigator? That's the stuff, man. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't.
Salespeople use it. It's amazing. Give it a try. Sales Navigator is amazing. You tie that with a couple other tools, and you've got what you need to do all forms of engagement with prospects. So from a sales tool, it's an investment worth doing.
We should. Do you want to share that sometime, or how you combined it with LinkedIn with some of the tools? Like I'm imagining Salesforce.
Yeah, I mean, do we have a B2B audience though? I mean, I'd be talking to vendors.
I mean, to be honest with you, I've never had anybody ask me B2B questions from questions that come out of our show. So I couldn't say that we do or not, but just like, so are you tying that to like a Salesforce thing or?
Yeah, well, we also just use it. Well, Holly's using it. Do you use Sales Navigator, Holly? No. I recommend they do a trial. I recommend you do the trial. So here's what's amazing is, first of all, yes, it's linked to your Salesforce. It looks at your accounts. It then suggests lookalike accounts for prospects. It actually gives you recommended prospects, and then you can say that you accept someone as a recommended prospect, or even like your prospects from your Salesforce. And it gives you news feeds when they or their company post anything. So touchpoint opportunity 1, you can look at the things that they care about, and you can actually reply and start engaging that way. The other opportunity on it is you actually can glean a lot on what someone's interests are. And it's just quality on making better relationships. And then it's just the easiest search functionality. So LinkedIn doesn't give you access to their full database in their normal system when you go to search for someone. LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives you 100% access. And then like really good advanced filters to narrow it down.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, group salespeople, that's true. Yeah, like group salespeople, LinkedIn Sales Navigator would be, it's just amazing. We love it. We have it for all our salespeople. We use it many different ways and at many different phases of, top of funnel on sales, entering people in our outbound effort. But then we also use it to just, remain engaged with existing clients because it gives you news feeds for the people that you really care about.
Okay.
Yep.
I learned something. Which I always want to do when I come here. No, seriously. I enjoy when I get to learn something out from all this, because for me, my perspective on the email was based on at a certain group, size level below and so forth, that the invasion, however much there, if well documented based on other things you were doing, would not be as invasive. Because I look at Gmail ads a lot like that, where you're getting this infusion of I didn't ask for it kind of stuff. But I felt with the InMail program that at least it would be symbiotic to something else I was already engaged with on the LinkedIn. And so it was just really maybe it's not related to it, or maybe it is related to it. It depends on how well your content message is.
Right.
But yeah, okay. But the Navigator part, I'm definitely going to take a little harder look at and see whether that works out beneficial.
Yeah, it's a great way. I mean, first of all, like our industry, people change jobs on a pretty healthy clip. So Navigator is just a good way of understanding who's at a property or whatever business you're trying to look at. And you can actually look up by title type. So you can actually say, show me anyone who has revenue in their title. And you can actually filter it like C-level, VP, director, manager, coordinator, and it'll actually pull you that list. And then there are other really good tools that integrate to Chrome that right from there you can get their email address.
Right. No, so the LinkedIn and Chrome plugin extensions are pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple. One that I use for it. Clear. Hold on. I'm looking for it right now. Come on. Clearbit. I use Clearbit for some stuff that connects with LinkedIn, which just works out pretty good. But all right. That was all the topics I had thrown around. Was there anything that you wanted to throw into the?
No, listen, this was a weird week. I won't be on next week.
Okay.
I'll be having Thanksgiving lunch with my daughter at her school.
Yep, you mentioned that. I'm going to be in Phoenix and
so you and Eric Dorr, like, bam.
Yeah, Eric and I are supposed to hook up for a beer or coffee or something while I'm out there. But I'm in the morning time.
And Holly's over there too. You could do like.
I asked her on the call yesterday whether she was going to, and she was polite. She says maybe I'll see, maybe I won't. but
I see enough of you, Lauren.
But at the Rocket, I'm speaking in the afternoon. Holly says not true. In the morning, I'm going to sneak out so we can do the show. So I'm hoping that Tim and Robert could carry most of it because I'll probably have a shorter time to be able to spend on it. But I hope to run into Eric out there as well. And that is a reminder that for HSMAI, there are 3 what's called Rocket Revenue Optimization Continued Education and Training courses. And I had the pleasure of speaking at the Vancouver one. Currently up this week, it's Monday. Monday is Miami. And the details, I made Bitly's for all of them for HSMAI, since Bitly is a new tool, I guess. bit.ly/Rocket, ROCET, Miami.
It's not Rosset, which you may think.
And I felt embarrassed. I was calling it Rosset for a while. And they're like, no, Lauren, if you're going to speak at him, you got to call him right. It's Rocket. I'm like, sorry. My bad.
I was the day, by the way, who did that. I was just picking. I was picking on you again.
No, but it was true. It was true. I was calling it Rocket.
I know. I remember. I'm the one who corrected you.
Shit. I shouldn't say it right. I'm speaking at the
I at least didn't allow you to learn that on stage.
The hard way?
Right.
Yeah, I think Julie corrected me too on it too. I think I didn't learn my lesson with you. I think I went back and said it again. Awesome. And then there's at the end of the Wednesday of the week is in Boston, and that is bit.ly/Rocket, ROCET, Boston. And then the one at the end of the week I get to speak at is at Phoenix. So just make the same bit.ly, bit.ly/Rocket, ROCET, Phoenix. There's also, I made some cute little what you didn't like sketch ads for all of them. I always saw them and I instantly knew it was you. I feel you're actually an inspiration to me because every time I do them, I smirk like, he's not going to like this, but I'm sure he'll find it. I also did a cute free infographic I just launched out for all 3 of them. I came across the infographic generator, and I'm like, so I thought I'd make another cutesy infographic. I love doing things that just make you go, Anyway, so those things are going on in HSMAI right now. And as a reminder also for everyone, if you haven't already made plans for it in February, the Digital Marketing Conference is going on then. And yeah, and it should be kind of. I think it's well, the Adrian Awards are with it, and I'm sorry, here I'm announcing that it's going on in February, and I don't have the exact date. Holly, do you have the exact date for our conference? If you can pop.
Of course, she
that into the list.
She's organized.
Yeah, I know, really, exactly, right? Plus, she's the chairperson of the darn Digital Council. She knows this inside and out.
She has no idea.
Thank you, Holly, for not making me feel so
bad, man. Camera, you probably could have just looked it up and been like, "Of course, I know this.
Of course, I know what." So many months away. No kidding, right?
Hey, November's almost over.
Yeah, and thanks to you, Mr. Ed, we are going to have Alice on.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. I want to get with you and talk about some questions and some stuff and things that can help me ask more intelligent questions, because I think if we get Tim and Robert and everybody on, then it should be really a lot of fun, because it's
do a test one earlier. See if he can do a test one.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure we have no technical blippies of anything. Yeah. I want to make sure that we're
22nd at the New York Marriott Marquis again.
Yeah, I'll be at the Marquis again.
Great place to stay would be the Row. By the way,
okay,
that's where I stayed for the last one, and I'll tell you what, it is less than a block, and it was a quarter of the cost, and it's a nice hotel.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Well,
yeah, no, and you'll get to tell your friends about it.
Did you submit anything to the Adrians this year?
Like 5 or 6 things, I think.
Excellent.
We won a gold last year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep, that's exciting. You know, our software wins marketing awards. We won the something in Florida, and we were our hotel was the only hotel that won something. The rest of them were like DMOs and DMCs that spent millions of dollars, and this is a hotel that spent a few $1,000s with us for the platform, and it was a standard implementation of the platform. And they won a marketing award, a Flagler Award is what it's called. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Eric posted up, just for your benefit, Ed, my infographic link. I already found 2 typos on it, so I got to go in and unpublish it and fix it and publish it back up again. But that's what you get for doing late night creativity without an editor.
Was the theme called Yellow Submarine?
No, that was not the theme. It was a nautical theme, though, but not the Yellow Submarine. It was the revenue boat. The revenue boat.
Get on the boat. The revenue boat.
Yeah. So that was my attempt at cheesy infographic for fun.
So Intuit will appreciate you promoting them on this infographic.
Yeah, I thought it'd be nice. Intuit. And I have 2 other spelling checks I got to get fixed. I found 2 other words. I'm like, what was I thinking when I typed those? That wasn't quite what I meant.
So see if Change at Work has an airplane pulling it.
Well, HSMAI. It's HSMAI is above it all. See, there's the revenue boat, and then there's HSMAI flying above with a banner telling where the boat to go. You got to get into the visualization. Why did I ask Ed to critique my infographic?
I can see that you got 6 LinkedIn shares from it, though.
Yeah. Well, again, it's meant to be eye-catching because the programs are actually excellent. Bonnie.
No, it actually is pretty. I will say that.
Thank you so much. Well, that's the template in action. I'd love to say it was my creative genius. It was just taking a template and modifying it well. And I don't even know how well, considering I have typos in it.
Hey, listen, glass houses, right? Glass houses.
Yeah. You never know. But by the same token, for the program that it is promoting, it is a solid program. Bonnie doesn't, with her and with STR in there, about being able to review data and review it smartly rather than just looking overwhelmed at this content. And then might throw in there about the digital integration, which is a persistent conversation we have about integrating digital marketing data and strategies with revenue management data and strategies. It makes for a very good program. So far, from what I understand, not just the one I was participating in, but all of them have gotten a 95 to 98%. We'd like to do this again kind of thing. So that's a pretty solid endorsement for the people that show up and pay money to show up to be part of the program. So
listen, if you're going to go in and fix some spelling errors.
Yeah.
So, once you're under the water, you start with flippers. So you're kind of setting a tone of like, this is what you use in water.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a match with fire. It doesn't work underwater.
It could be one of those super cool.
And then number 5, the version of map that you used is not a nautical map. That's actually like a type of map you would use.
Couldn't find one
on land. Just saying. I mean, like if you're gonna go fix some things,
if you're gonna fix some things, take those on too. All right. So if I can't find a magnesium flare icon, skip the map. Because obviously, in my mental state, at 11 o'clock last night, I thought.
Well, listen, you're using like radar and GPS as like fun words to like work in here. So use something that represents that, like a wave pattern or something like that.
No, you're right. I was pretty happy that I was able to use the acronym in some semblance of consistency to topic. Like
real accurate data access to resources.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is radar going to stand for? I don't know. Let me think about that.
I'm guessing you have a prescription for that, Lauren.
I'm hoping so with Florida, man. It's just coming to, that's the one thing of this whole election that we didn't talk about is like, look at all the states that said, hey, let's quit putting people in jail for smoking pot. I don't do it, but I'm happy that they're not wasting jail space on people that do recreational drugs. So those drugs anyway. There's plenty of others that are a lot worse. Yeah, but anyway, I will change the match and the map. And I'll change the 2 words that are definitely typo that you're being nice enough not to probably point out. But hey, it's all in support of HSMA.
Glass houses. I can't talk.
No. It's if anything, I just want to get what I want to do also is throw an Animoto out there, just for the hell of it because I love. I used to have an Animoto account when they first started, and it got too expensive. But now they have a free trial I'm going to kick into and try. Because I think there's a more serious message out of this purpose of the program that I can throw out there. If I have time, I'll play with it. If not, it just won't happen until next year when they do.
Are your giveaways going to be like Lauren Gray Tamagotchi eggs or something? I mean, just because you can.
Eat the Tamagotchi, man.
Eat the Tamagotchi.
Hey, somebody's got to be on the leading edge to let you know what the weather's like.
It's really wet.
What's going on? Oh, dude. All right.
No, I like it. I pick on you, but I like what you did there. And honestly, I'm sure no one thought about the fact that fire doesn't work underwater.
Oh, I'm sure probably people are like, just let him be. He made a good try.
I do get emails sometimes with people going, "Hey, I'm glad you said that to Lauren."
But that's the whole purpose of this. Nobody's on the top end of the conversation.
We're the odd couple of digital marketing.
That's it. We're the Howard Stern version of all this.
That's right.
And speaking of, okay, so I want to catch you in the green room for a little bit because I have some questions on some stuff. Yep. So since we're at this point where it's almost 2 hours, an hour 45 in, without any input from Holly, if anything you want to throw out, or Eric, if you want to throw anything out because you've been so generous with your time staying with us. Mr. Ed, how do people reach out to you and find you should they want to know more about what you post, like that wonderful article we reviewed today?
Actually, that article was on Leonardo's blog.
True, but you generated it, right?
I wrote it for them.
Yeah.
So you can find me on flip.to, and on social you can find me by my name, Edward StOnge. That would be on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
And for replays of any and all of our shows that have gone on for well over a year, you can go to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live. There is our weekly podcast as well, which is on the same website, hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/podcast. And of course, if you have any questions or any topics you'd like to bring in or like to be a guest of the show, please reach out to us. We would love your input to it. And of course, if you would like to keep in touch with as we do the shows, you simply have to subscribe because we roll the subscription forward to each show. So if you subscribe to one show, we will always make sure you're aware of the next show when it gets popped up, which is every Friday at 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. And with that, show 66, all done. 67 next week. You know you won't be there. 68 might be a best of because it's the day after Thanksgiving. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of attendance on both sides of the
It'll look a lot like this.
Yeah. But big bellies and turkey bones in the hand. Yeah. So That might be the best of show. I might have to find that 10 minutes out of 5 days worth of content and put it all together. And
Listen, if you want, I'll pop on a show with you for 20 minutes.
I'll do it. I'm fine. Just like I said, it's. I didn't want to inconvenience anybody by committing them on a Friday after Thanksgiving. But if you go live, I'll go live, and we can hit a couple of things, and who knows where.
There you go. Maybe there'll be some news.
As you can tell, folks, to those that watch us live and recorded, we don't plan much of the content's direction. We just throw things up in the air and see how they land. All right. With that, thank you, everyone, for the live participation and for those who watch us in recordings and for those on Facebook Live. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your Friday. Happy Veterans Day. And we'll talk to you.
The men and women who serve and who have served for us.
Thank you so very much for that. And at the end of the day, that's what all of us have to remember, is that there are people like you willing to go over and stand in front of things that want to not be nice to us. So, all right. Thank you all and have a great day.